So here our application starts with the registration page where we give our email and our password through which our accounts gets registered in the IBM cloud. So here our password is four ones. We try and register. We'll be getting an OTP in the aforementioned email. So we check our inbox if there is any mail. And we see that we got a mail here. Our OTP is 9349. So we just enter the OTP here and we see that it has been validated and we are being redirected to the login page. Here we enter our email and the password which we mentioned before, double one, and we log in. So this verifies that those details have been logged in, and here we are onto the dashboard. So now we move on to adding expense to our account. So we just add an expense here. So expense amount be 100, would be online transport, and we just choose a random date and then note we rent and we submit the transaction. So this is one of the transactions that has been recorded in the database. So we'll add one more transaction and then we'll just try and view the expense history to see if they have been recorded properly. So this is getting recorded. So one expense has been added successfully. Now we're trying to add one more expense. So expense amount be 300, would be cash, would be for some medical expenses. Then date, we can have the date as 23rd. Then note being shopping. Then we just submit a transaction. So now this transaction will be recorded onto the database. Now we'll check the expense history to see if they are being displayed on the front end. So yeah, we can see those are being displayed on the front end. So yeah, it works successfully. So our next functionality is customizing based on our expenses. So we can set our monthly targets as to what our budget is, and so based on that we'll get timely reminders. So our budget is set to, for example, we'll set it as 500. I'll give my phone number here, profession student, and I'll have, so the when the budget exceeds, I'll be alerted in my email ID. So we'll submit this. So this is our budget that has been recorded. As you can see, the profile has been updated and the budget has been recorded. Now we'll go to the dashboard to see if it is visible. As you can see, based on our budget is 500, and we have spent around 400 this month. So it shows that 80% has been exhausted. This pie chart shows the categories in which we have spent, like transport, the medical. This graph shows the monthly expense, and this is our revenue for this month. Like we have spent 400 this month, so this is the graph. So each month when we move to December, it will show for December in a different color. So that is how we can differentiate between different months and the amount which we have spent. So these are the pictorial formats which help us in understanding the overall spend. Now we look at a situation where we go overboard. Our budget previously we had set it as 500. We have already spent 400 this month. So we'll try and add one more expense so that we exceed our budget. So let's keep it at 150 example. So we'll keep it at 150, and more will be cash, some medical payment. We'll choose some random date and then note as medical, and we'll submit the transaction. So as the transaction is recorded, we'll go overboard as our budget was 500, but now our total expenses become 550. So we'll be getting an email if we check our email next. So we'll just check our mail. We just refresh it. We see that we get an alert that your budget is 500, but your expenses exceeded to 550, which can also be viewed in the dashboard. So as you can see, well, we have exceeded our budget. So this is how we can track our expense and monitor them properly. So these are transactions that have been recorded. So now these transactions can be printed out as a PDF by generating a report, which is an option over here. So just click on this and a report will be generated. And the report has been downloaded. Now I try to open the report. So all the transactions, the amount, mode, date and note, everything is present in the report. So that is how we get the report. And we come back to this thing.
As I previously seen over, the transaction that you have made is an online transaction for rent, and then a cash transaction for shopping. We have additionally added a extra feature to accept input files directly from the user, so that the user can input directly. So we'll create it as a CSV file with these transactions. We'll give a title, transaction, mode, category, start date and note. Then these will be the transactions. 1000 for housing online, for a loan EMI, and then this will be for a barber expense. So we'll save this in our downloads, and then we'll upload this file. This is being directly added to the DB2 instance that I have created in the background. So the file has been successfully added, and when you see the expense history, we can easily see that the loan balancer and the bar budget has been added to the expense history. Thank you. In order to make the deployment more much easier, we have implemented a CI/CD process, a continuous integration, continuous deployment process. Further, we have included a YAML file in the workflows in GitHub. It has been easily done using GitHub Actions. So this is a YAML file that we have built. In order to make the credentials secret, we have created a secret under environments in the GitHub Actions. So here are the secrets that we have defined for Cloud API, the DB API, and also for the SendGrid API. So we have deployed this in ICR.io as instructed, and our image name here is IKS test. So we have written jobs for setup, publish, and deploy in the exact process. So initially the IBM Cloud CLI is being installed, and the Kubernetes registry and container registry is the plugins are being installed, and then there is a login code for login here. Here just building the Docker file from the requirements file and the Docker file given in the code. So I'll show the Docker file afterwards. So this part of in this segment of the code, we are pushing the Docker file created, the image file created to the ICR container registry given by IBM. Here we'll be setting the environmental variables inside the deployment pod that will be working. That's called IKS test here. Yeah. So we now see the thing in progress. Yeah. So to save up time, we have already run this thing, and we are just showing the outputs. So this is the first action, checking out for log and already existing files, and then here it's being the IBM Cloud is being installed. IBM Cloud CLI is being installed. As the name tells, everything has been successfully done, and this is the IP address, public IP address, and the notebook that has been set here. As you have been seeing, this is the deploy to Kubernetes services, and this is our public IP address, and this is the notebook. We can now see us launching from this thing. So this is exactly how this to show that it has been deployed already in our Kubernetes server. We'll just show how it's working. As you have seen already, these are all the functionalities that have been discussed before.